Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. We're just going to give it a few moments while we let everyone come in here. So just bear with us while we let everyone in as I see them all joining from the weight room. Thank you so much for joining us for Hydraight's webinar. We're excited to discuss VSDHOne, so VSDH1, and we do have on different members that we're excited to introduce you guys to. So our CEO, Shane Madden, will go over and do the introductions of our legal, our pharmacist, and our chief medical officer as well, who are on this call as well. So we've had quite a bit of emails come through and questions come through also. So bear with us. We'll try and get through as many questions as we can. But if we don't get through them all, feel free to send us over some emails to ir@hydreight.com. And we'll definitely be able to answer any questions that you do have that we weren't able to get to. This webinar is being recorded and will be sent out after. So not to worry if you do have to leave for any reason. We will be discussing some forward-looking statements. So please make sure that you do refer to the forward-looking statements on our most recent press release, as that would be greatly appreciated there. And I think I'll pass it over to you, Shane, and you can begin.
Thank you, Abby. Excuse me. Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for such a great turnout. Excited to introduce everybody to the inner workings of the Hydreight Technologies company, introduce to some of our pivotal key members that have helped us get here. Before we do that, I'd like to kind of give again an overview framework of what we've done here at Hydreight Technologies, what the mode is for the opportunities that we've identified, and why we're so excited about the future here. So again, before I introduce anybody, a lot of people have heard the story. A lot of people have spoke to us again in the last couple of weeks, and I just want to kind of reframe that for everybody. So obviously, the U.S. healthcare system is pretty fragmented, was pretty fragmented. I think COVID highlighted a lot of that. Hydreight Technologies was formed essentially to essentially be the first mover in the branching out of the traditional health and wellness space. So the reactive measures of doctor, clinic, hospitals into the other avenues of healthcare that was becoming very, very apparent that it was needed. So those areas are essentially mobile medicine, direct to consumer, which is digital healthcare, self-administered, and of course the non-traditional bricks and mortars, the health and wellness, which was all a movement to come out of that reactive, archaic structure that was causing a lot of the problems. So Hydreight actually started off creating a medical base across all 50 states. So that's essentially what Hydreight is. We have some very specific techs that are built on top of that medical platform. One of the things to remember here in the vision of Hydreight Technologies is that we are a marketplace in the healthcare to do business. So we're a place to do business. We're not another competitor. We give the compliance structure for anybody to get into this space in a much more feasible manner, whether that's cost effective, turnkey solution, not having to become a legal expert in 50 states across 3 boards. So that was the premise of Hydreight Technologies. Obviously, most people on the call know our trajectory thus far, but just to clarify the verticals again, we started off in the mobile health and wellness space. So we were the first company to allow healthcare professionals, i.e. nurses, to work as 1099 contractors. Okay, so hence the Uber for nurses reference. It's more on the 1099 side, obviously the mobility side of it, where patients can come to an app, book a medical service, have a healthcare professional come to them. That also has a little bit of a connotation to the Uber reference, but really, we were the first company to offer that and allow that. So services from IV therapy to GLP-1s to at-home testing, all of those manner of testings, we were able to provide those. We had a specific software that does that. So that's one of the three verticals. Obviously, year on year growth, as everybody has seen, and we're still the first movers in that space. We're still the only player that allows across all 50 states any healthcare professional to join our medical platform and monetize their credentials. The second vertical that we have very specific tech for, again, all built off of our medical practice across 50 states, is the bricks and mortar. There was a lot of challenges pre-COVID. I mean, they were highlighted by COVID, but there was a lot of challenges to operate compliantly for bricks and mortars. Whether that is seeing a doctor prior to a service, whether that is the flow of pharmaceuticals, whether that is putting it all in one flow from a technical perspective, EMR, et cetera, et cetera. Our platform and our tech is able to leverage and help people become compliant when sometimes it's very difficult to stay compliant, whether it's out of ignorance because of the complexity of the state laws, whether it is medical, nursing, or pharmacy, or whether it's just inoperable. They don't have the money or operational girth to do that. The third vertical, which is the newest vertical that we rolled out in Q4 of last year, is to essentially leverage our platform in a very unique way to take advantage of this direct-to-consumer market that I think everybody on the call is aware of, these direct-to-consumer treatments and services that are essentially self-administered, but can be a recurring medication, So we created VSDHOne for a place to do business. So again, taking that operational compliance headache, CMV.gov in 2023 valued the US healthcare market at 4.9 trillion. Has it projected in 2031 for 7.2 trillion. And these are all, again, in reaction to the direction that these areas of medicine are going. So VSDH1 is a place that we have solved all of the compliant issues across 50 states, across multiple state boards, housed it in a tech that we can essentially see patients, allow businesses to come on board and basically benefit from all of the structure and the compliance that we have. Many different ways that can happen, whether it is a business that is already structured, but they are limited to one state or a couple of services because of their structure, whether it is a business that is already in a complementary business but wants to expand into these types of services, but is just not structured to do so. We solve all of these problems. As you'll hear from some of the experts that we have as our core members here, the U.S. market, the U.S. healthcare market is very difficult to navigate. We've got 50 states between nursing board, medical board, and pharmacy board, and even within bordering states, there can be conflict in legislation. So one of the biggest things that we've created here, and what is the biggest moat to any business? Any of our verticals, whether it is the Hydreight nurses in 30 of the 50 states due to corporate practice of medicine, or whether it is the VSDH1 businesses looking to get into the direct-to-consumer exploding healthcare model, this is literally illegal in 30 of the 50 states. From a corporate practice of medicine, it's exactly how it sounds. It prevents the corporate practice of medicine unless you have a structure such as ours. In the other 20 states, that doesn't mean it's easy either. As Lindsey will go into here, Dr. Lindsey will go into here, some of the pharmaceutical side of things is extremely difficult. So that's kind of the high level. I will make some introductions here. I just wanted to frame again, Shopify for healthcare is essentially, if you want to think of it that way, what we have built here at Hydreight Technologies. We have 3 different verticals that offer 3 different solutions to 3 areas of healthcare, whether that's mobile health and wellness, the non-traditional bricks and mortar, or direct to consumer. So again, our base is to basically solve, the the initial challenges from a compliance perspective, from a difficulty perspective, lack of knowledge sometimes to get into that. So we are well positioned again. We were first movers on Hydreight. We're first movers again on VSDH1. There is no platform like this that allows businesses to do business, which gives us an exponential growth potential here. Just judging off of the amount of people that are looking to get into this, the treatment types themselves being recurring, and the turnkey aspect of our platform. And we can go into some more items from there. But I'll just pause there to introduce some of our experts that can basically back up some of the challenges that are in the US healthcare system, some of the things we've done together as a company to overcome those, and essentially how we're structured to take advantage of this first mover advantage. So I'm not sure if Brigid has joined. Has Brigid joined?
Yes.
Yes, I'm here.
I believe so.
She's
Okay,
here.
so
Yes.
I'd like to introduce Brigid Maloney from Lippis Mathias. Has been in the healthcare industry for over 20 years. They're the healthcare specific firm that has tremendous experience, and we've been building these things for the last 5+ years. And I'd like to turn it over to Brigid to give her expertise and a little bit of knowledge on the US side.
Thank you, Shane. Hi, everybody. I'm Brigid. It's nice to meet you. I think that my message today, as the person who's largely responsible for advising on risk management and compliance issues for Hydreight, is to stress the fact that in the United States, the healthcare industry is the most heavily regulated industry in the entire country. And added on top of that is that Hydreight is in an area that isn't yet regulated to the fullest extent. Mobile healthcare, direct to consumer, and traditional bricks and mortar aesthetics businesses, we find that the states are continuing to recognize that they haven't regulated all areas of these types of businesses. Because of that, the state boards, the boards of medicine, nursing, and pharmacy, are regularly rolling out new advisory opinions, new rules for how these businesses need to be run. And it's our job as Hydraight's legal advisors to stay on top of those board advisories and rule changes. And I do that together with Dr. Palumbo and with Lindsey Urbatchka to make sure that Hydreight is well versed on the rule changes. There's a great deal of non-compliant competition in this industry. We know this. There are glaring errors occurring in competitive businesses. You need to have a physician at the top of the food chain who's supervising all services, all medical services that are being provided. And that's Dr. Palumbo's role. You need to have a chief of pharmacy director who's keeping an eye on the pharmacy utilization, and that is Lindsey's job. Hydreight has done an excellent job of knitting together the experts to make sure that they continue to evolve in a way that is as compliant as possible. We've been in touch with a number of medical boards, pharmacy boards, and nursing boards in various states, who often will be taking a look at Hydraight's activities as well as its competitors. And I'm happy to say that many of these investigators are pleasantly surprised to see that Hydreight has the right systems in place to offer the services that they're offering. For example, as Shane mentioned, in 30 out of 50 states, there's a prohibition on the corporate practice of medicine. That means that medical services can only be provided through a professional entity that is owned by an individual physician. And frankly, the competitors just aren't doing that. They've got corporations at the top of their food chain. So that's one example where we know that Hydraight's doing the right thing, and we're continuing to strive to stay on top of those emerging regulations and advise the Hydreight team to make sure that every step of the way that they are as compliant as possible in every aspect of their operations. Thank you, Shane.
Shane, you're on mute. I can't breathe.
Thank you, Brigid. I said that was wonderful and very insightful. I'm sure there's a lot of knowledge there for some people listening. The US market, healthcare market, is incredibly complex. So thanks for summarizing that there. I'd like to introduce now Dr. Lindsey Urbatchka, who is our Doctor of Pharmacy, has been around Hydreight Technologies, right from the start, through our various verticals, creating the various the policies and procedures, dosages specific to certain services, working closely with Dr. Palumbo on rolling these out, and it has a tremendous background in investigating actual companies that are not doing it right in the States as well. So I'd like to pass it over to Lindsey.
Thanks, Shane. Hello, everyone. Lindsey, the pharmacist. Like Shane said, I've been here since pretty much the beginning, and I've lived in the world of compounding and specialty pharmacy for 17 years now. And my main approach ever since I was a kid, my mom actually has been a pharmacist as well for 50 years, was that if you take care of the patient, then everything else will follow. And Dr. Palumbo and I are always on the same page that safety is first, ethics, compliance, fall in line exactly with our protocols and safety. So while we get a lot of requests for things every single day, we don't authorize things that are not safe, ethical, moral. And we have to look at it from, is there a provider standing there in your office, or is this a telemedicine? And in telemed, you have to be even more conservative to make sure that your clients are safely cared for. But in telemed, you have better access to them as well. So you have a direct line. So there's a great balance there. To piggyback off of what Brigid said, I am embedded in all 50 states, 3 boards, pharmacy, nursing, and medical. Pharmacy, I obviously understand the best because that's how I was raised and trained. But what we need to remember is with the ever-changing landscape is you have to be compliant. You have to make sure that when that board shows up, you have your binder ready to go. You are the best of the best, and I refuse to lose. I'm an extremely competitive person. And so we've worked really hard to make sure that every single state is vetted thoroughly the moment they issue a pivot or a declaratory ruling or a law. We review and make sure that every single one of our businesses and our business partners are following those rules. If they aren't, we notify them of the pivot and the change, because we're never going to shut you down. We're going to suggest your pivot. With that comes menus, protocols, intakes, assessments, reassessments, research. We follow guidelines that are in package inserts that have been issued by the FDA previously. If we're using a product or an ingredient that may or may not have been through the FDA process. If it hasn't, I'm the one that's getting on PubMed and finding the data. A lot of my responses involve like, show me the data. And if you can't find the data, then we should probably challenge it. And Joe and I say all the time, like, why are we doing this? Is this going to benefit the person? So I've helped, Joe and I have collaborated and created all of your training processes as well. So once you have a service, behind that service, what you may not realize is there's a rule in, rule out of patients. There's an entire platform to train all of the providers. You can't just onboard any doctor from any practice and expect them to understand everything we're getting into. So they all have to be trained in best practices in USP 797, 795 compounding, whether we're dealing with a pharmacy that can offer office use products, which would be a 503B, or whether we're dealing with a 503A, which is a patient specific prescription, which falls into the direct consumer model. You have to understand what pharmacies are held to what regulations, and then you have to vet them. So if they haven't been through our platform or my vetting process, they're not allowed on board. If I get a new pharmacy to check out, my first thing is to go check and see if they've had an FDA inspection and what those results were, and have they made changes? Have they had repeat findings? We get into pharmacies that will do corrective actions, or they will share with us their testing, their validity, their sourcing, their suppliers. What are their processes so that our businesses that we onboard have safety and efficacy to their clients? And I don't know a single place or platform in the United States or pharmacist that does what we do here at Hydreight that grills pharmacies and makes sure that we can stand behind what we're offering to our clinics and clients. That's just the brief summary. I don't know, Shane, I could probably continue, but let me know.
That's why we put limits on the webinar, Lindsey. Thank you. That was fantastic. And obviously the man behind the medical mask here, Dr. Joseph Palumbo, one of the few doctors to have all 50 state licenses, have a background in emergency medicine, as well as broadening out other businesses in the telemedicine space, and these new emerging verticals that have resulted from the shifted mentality from the US healthcare system. Please, Joe, looking forward to hearing educate the crew here.
Thank you, Shane. Thank you. And I know Brigid and Lindsey have already mentioned a lot about what I'll talk about, but I'm Dr. Joseph Palumbo. I'm a board certified ER physician for about the last 15 years. I had basically done a lot of traveling for my medicine. I never practiced where I reside in Cleveland, Ohio. I pretty much traveled around servicing many ERs across the United States. And during that time, I really started to apply myself into other aspects of medicine. So I've been in telemedicine since 2016, performing in hormone replacement therapy and general telehealth. And then in late 2017, 18, actually Shane and I found one another and have been working together ever since, when Hydreight was actually really in its infantile stages, and to see what it has grown over the many years that we've been together, working together as initially as a consultant and medical director, and now as the PC holder and chief medical officer. So it's been a heck of a ride. It's been a lot of fun. But to speak about a little bit of, and not to be overly redundant, but the importance that the Lindsey and Brigid work with me together, is that the boards, the medical, nursing, and pharmacy boards, are extremely difficult. And what we're trying to provide, what we have provided, is basically almost a virtual family office for those people that come for the services that we do, whether it be through VSDH or whether it be through Hydreight technology. So it is by no small feat that that's able to be accomplished, because not only do you have technological issues that require, the EMR to be of a certain way, and the consultation to be done a certain way, whether it be done video, whether it be done by phone, or whether it be done by a template, whether it be done, for this type of thing, such as HRT, which is a controlled substance, and how those things have to be done. So all these rules and regulations amount to a lot of work, man hours, review, annual reviews, sometimes even monthly reviews. And then trying to find people that are comfortable with the medical acumen, because obviously telemedicine has hit a huge upwave, but in the same aspect, not many people are trained in these aspects. And to find competent people like Dr. Urbatchka, who has been a wellness pharmacist of her own well before Hydreight, and to align with us has been phenomenal. And the fact that it started with Shane, and it bled down to Brigid, and then of course Lindsey and I. Our three tenets that we live and die by are safe, ethical, and compliant. At the end of the day, that's all we care about. At the end of the day, it is awesome to be a part of one of the only companies that can do what we do legally and then medically, and to provide that type of safety to a patient. They may not know it, but we are one of the only industries that are able to provide those type of tenets with this versatile form of medicine, and to have the legal construct that Brigid has advised us, and to be able to do it all, is by no small feat. So I'm really thankful and appreciative to be the chief medical officer. But if you guys have any questions about it, I don't want to bore you with all the medical legal infrastructure, but it is not a small feat to be able to accomplish what Shane and VSDH1 and Hydreight have been able to do.
Thank you, Joe. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Brigid. Thanks, Lindsey. That was fantastic. So hopefully we've highlighted kind of the complexity that exists in the US healthcare. Hopefully we have defined the various areas of medicine and the verticals that we are primed to be able to capture and exploit. There is one, obviously, that is extremely has a massive growth potential, which is the VSDHOne platform. So before we open it up for questions, I would like to expand a little bit on that opportunity. Obviously, Hydreight Technologies, as I have previously mentioned, has three verticals for three different areas of medicine, all all under one main structure. And we will continue to grow that organically at a 30-40% pace, hopefully. But there is one vertical, VSDHOne, which we are uniquely positioned not only as first movers, but also as a business model, a place to do business, a healthcare turnkey plug and play that can take advantage of the direct to consumer massive potential. We've all heard of Hims and Hers and Roman and these other players. We're not a competitor. This is Shopify for healthcare we've created. And instead of being a competitor, we can allow thousands of businesses, thousands of Hims and Hers on this one platform. The moat is compliance, the moat is complexity, the moat is convenience. So whether you're a business that is specializing in TRT, but you have no clue how to expand into GLP-1 or sexual health, or hair loss or skin care or any of this, the sensitive, you would partner with our company on the medical side. You might have other pieces of the puzzle, but you don't have the whole puzzle. So whether it's on the service side, whether it's on the expansion into the other states to exploit your brand and be able to sell in other states, whether it's tech, we have a place to be able to leverage all of that. So we're very, very excited. Obviously, our goal in previous meetings and in previous presentations, we have said that the VSDH1 goal is to do between 1 and 1.5 million services by the end of the year. We are, from what we're seeing, we're very excited that we can achieve that goal. We have about over 350 licenses sold now. We have been very, very particular and focused on our onboarding. We've onboarded approximately 240 of those 350. They've gone through the onboarding, the legit script side of things, which I'll get back to just briefly in a second, and obviously setting up the services compliantly in the various states that they're going to offer, etc. So very, very excited for this. It will overshadow any of the other verticals and take this company to a whole other level from there. Now, we're not going to just focus on the organic traffic of that. Everybody on the call most likely has seen our announcement regarding the accelerator program. So because our moat is so big and because the first mover advantage is so large, we can outwardly approach these other businesses, of course, using our public status as an opportunity to take a portion, move everybody over to VSDH1. Most people on the call would understand the difference in the valuation of a company that is using tech or has its own tech and operating. Those multiples are completely different. So we're actually very, very aggressively this year going to look at that accelerator program, and possibly even beat the projections that we had, not projections, the goals that we already had. M&A opportunities will also come up, I'm sure, from the obvious conversations of the accelerator program. But we're very, very excited. We're going to be aggressive. Much more aggressive than we have in previous years on this because of the opportunity, because of where we've placed ourselves, because of the things we solve, and not to put too much of a simple word on it, but because of the no-brainership in some of this. So I just wanted to touch on what we see 2025 looking like, focus on one of the verticals because of its massive potential. And I'd like to open it up for some questions and answers.
Perfect. I think the first one here we can begin with is we saw in a webinar that even though the company hasn't provided an official guidance that your goal is to have 1,000 licenses and 1 million plus orders by the end of 2025, where are you with that? And any more color on how you're tackling that? Is our margin still 20 to 30% on services? It's kind of a few of them I just bunched together there. I think you kind of touched
Absolutely.
a bit on that.
Absolutely. Let me just make, yeah. So I kind of just touched on that. So we're actually ahead of our goals in terms of licenses. we obviously 1,000 by the end of the year. We're already at 350. Obviously, a huge focus on onboarding because of it's just it's a rollout. Q4, we want to make sure everything is compliant. These businesses are going into different states and setting up the doctor network and such like that. So yeah, we're ahead of that. LegitScript is actually something I forgot to circle back on. So in the United States, you will not be able to market these types of services on social media unless you're LegitScript certified. So our platform company VSDH1 is LegitScript certified from an enterprise perspective. So any business that comes onto our platform partnering with us essentially gets that expedited. And it's not just about the speed of it. Most companies don't get approved at all because 70% of the questions on there are around your medical structure, your medical director, and the pharmacy itself. So it's actually really difficult. It's a very heavily regulated marketing that the US just doesn't want businesses just who have no structure out there advertising and putting people's risk at health. So as I said, from what we are seeing, we're very positive about our goals that we've previously discussed on the different webinars.
Perfect. You mentioned a little bit about M&A, so there are some M&A questions here. Who are the ideal M&A targets, and who do they have to go with you? Are you hoping to close these in 2025? And why do they have to go with you? Sorry, why would they want to go with you? Sorry, I just read that question wrong.
No, again, I kind of touched on this in my closing statements. But yes, we are aggressively looking at not only the accelerator program, which is going to be a fantastic lower footprint interaction, if you can think about it that way. Any business, we're not looking at startups there and allowing them to grow. We're looking at businesses that are directly already in this, whether it's one service in one state or larger, multiple services. We have over 40 plus treatments on our VSDH1 platform. So from GLP-1 to peptides to TRT to skincare to sexual health, all of it. Policies and procedures for our medical team ready to go in all 50 states. So these are huge moats. And then from the cost perspective, because of our girth from 7 plus years at this and our pharmacy structure, these companies are not just coming on here and have a higher cost of, we are incredibly cost effective as well. So there's a lot of moats there, not to mention the big moat, which is it's illegal in 30 of the 50 states unless you have a structure like ours. And these people are just not knowledgeable enough in most cases, don't have the funding to actually structure this properly. And we're there. Regarding the M&A, I feel like those are things we're going to go after aggressively. Some of them will come out of organic conversations from the accelerator program. Others are going to come from a pipeline that we're putting together. And again, moving everybody to our tech has a much higher multiple rather than them using a white label on their own or whatever. So it's a really great way to boost the services and boost the overall value.
Perfect. Thank you, Shane. Let's see here. More here. So I guess another one kind of following up on that would be how businesses would impact Hydraight's growth. How do we see that? I think you kind of touched on it.
Yeah. Again, obviously we're not, we have our current licenses that we are, as I just outlined, onboarding, going through the marketing aspect with LegitScript and ready for growth based off their projections and guidelines. We have set a goal for 2025. The other businesses are essentially just in, think of it as another vertical to that. So we want to be very aggressive because of what we have put together, because of the opportunity in front of us. We don't want to just rely on one area. So we're going to go after businesses that can utilize us, that need us, in any of those areas: compliance, structure, medical direction, the complexity of multiple services in multiple states. All of those things are huge moats, just putting them all on the platform and growing the platform accordingly. So we're not entertaining startups in that program. We have a very set parameter. We're looking for aligned companies who are doing either services currently at a certain level and looking to expand.
Perfect. Thanks, Shane. There's another one related to a couple more on the accelerator, the health accelerator that we just released, that program, our most recent press release. So people are wondering, I'd love to hear more about the recent press release regarding the health accelerator. Why is Hydreight starting this initiative? And what is the upside? I think you did touch a little bit on that, and what the difference between this accelerator program and an M&A strategy would be.
Yeah, well, actually, I've touched on this a couple of times, but we have another member of the team on the call as well. Maybe you want to hear it from a different source or add a bit more color.
Hi, everyone. Thanks again for attending the webinar. So I'd like to take one step back and address this one. Shane and the rest of the team has outlined our position in the market and our approaches. Our goal is to get to 1 to 1.5 orders by end of 2025. Our goal is to have 1,000 licenses sold on VSDHOne platform. Now, in order to get to those goals, we have 3 different avenues that we identified that can help us. One is the organic growth. The organic growth is the licenses that we're selling, onboarding them, empowering them, and receiving the organic orders. That is going as per plan as we had. Obviously, like any other plan, we had to spend more time on onboarding or a few other areas. But as Shane shared the numbers for number of the licenses onboarded and all that, and more coming in the pipeline, we're on one track for that. Now, the other 2 areas, based on what has been presented today by our team members in legal, medical, and pharmacy, it's putting us in a very unique position for all these businesses in the United States that have been trying to sell any of these products, but they don't have access to such infrastructure. They don't have access to such network. So we decided to create 2 different avenues to go after these people. The first avenue is incoming requests, which is the accelerator program. And the second one is outgoing, to us heavily going after all these businesses that can be either our partner or our clients, or they can be one of our businesses that we can invest in them. The way that we're looking at that is many of these businesses already have customers. Many of these businesses already have orders. Their orders might be in one state. Their order might be in one product, but the profile for their customers is suitable to take other products as well. So if we go in the accelerator program and say, hey, we're going to invest in a business that has $2 million revenue, that translates that 2 million translate to 20,000 or 15,000 orders. We're going to bring that on the VSDHOne. The same people now is they can buying other related products. The same business can use exact same strategy of sales and marketing other states by being on VSDHOne platform. So not only we're adding to the LTV of all these customers, but also we're just adding to more potential target areas for these businesses to come. So we identified many different sources. We've done many researches to have a better idea about the size of these businesses, their needs. And the other side that we were researching is usually the businesses that they don't have the owned IP, and they're just selling the different products to their customers through different technologies. Their multiple is lower than the people that they own the IP. So if we acquire a business or we invest 10 or 20% in a business with a multiple of 2 or 3, bring them on our own IP, that very same business is gonna worth multiple of 8 to 10 already, because now it's have own IP. Now think about if we go after 2, 3, 10, 20, 30, and exponentially we grow this hub for all these businesses to come on underneath of the Hydreight. We don't have to acquire them 100%. We can easily invest 10 to 20% using our stock or invest in them. Cash is going to go toward the revenue financing around their marketing. So they have to pay back per order for the money that we're putting in. But in exchange, they have no options but bringing the entire volume on the VSDH1 not only is going to help us with the end goal that we have with the number of the orders that we want, but also it's going to help us with the very same customers. We increase the LTV of those. So the idea for the accelerator program that we put out is to open the funnel for incoming requests. If there are businesses out there that the revenue is $750,000 in the last 12 months, that is going to dictate, again, we see the orders as we add more products to the catalog. We see the orders can be anywhere between like, $7,500 all the way to $300. So we guesstimated at a rough number of the orders for such businesses that are fully compliant. We're going to invest in them either by cash that only goes toward the revenue financing, is going to use our own stock as a currency as well for them to have a stake in the bigger company. But more importantly, and is going to be toward the services, credit to our pharmacy, because they have to pay for all these products anyways, but we can kind of finance them ahead of the time so they can get the cash flow going, keep the same margin, and then we're going to also have a margin because of the great margins that we have on the pharmacy product, bring them to our platform, and then all the orders and all the revenue has to go through our platform, and we keep our margin. So that was the idea for having that. Again, when we see how it's going to impact our business, it's gonna help us to achieving our goals with the number of the orders. They may be in one or limited number of the states, but being on our platform, they can expand on number of the states with the very same product. They can also have increasing the lifetime value for the customers by being able to add more products to their checkouts when they go through the same checkout, and is gonna have the impact on us. And also from the value perspective, because now we all, including them, own the IP, the multiple that the market is going to appreciate them is more than just being a company that you put on a skin and bringing the customers to buy products. So that's kind of, again, the accelerator. The last piece about the accelerator, as I said, we have two approaches. One is incoming, which is accelerator. One is outgoing, that we've been very active to reaching out to business and finding business to see if we find a suitable business to either sell them a license or bring them on board as a partner, or just do acquisitions or all that. The accelerator is going to create an M&A pipeline for us. All these companies that they're coming on board, there are many different ways to approach that you can have the right to buy the rest of the company. You can just invest in 10% or 15% or different strategy that can be used. But another reason that we added this strategy as part of our bigger plan is to be able to build up our M&A pipeline within the next 18 months to 24 months. So I hope that I could answer that question.
Yes, I think you answered a few of them there that we got, so that's great. I think another one that I see, another question just coming in about it too. We've got a few around this, is can you add more clarity on VSDH1 structure and ownership? And also, can you delve a bit deeper into the relationship between Victory Square Technologies and Hydreight for VSDH1 specifically?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's actually a great question. We've been getting some shareholders email about this and things like that. So perfect time to clear it all up. So it's really straightforward. Hydreight owns 100% of the IP. Obviously, post-acquisition with VST and VSDH's creation, there was a lot of collaboration and a lot of investment put into futuring these revenue streams. So there's a 10% standing margin of every cost of service, right? So I'll explain kind of a little bit as to the second part of the question, Abby, regarding the relationship between the two parties. So that's just standing. Now, I think it's easier to understand if I give an example, perhaps, of how a service would work. So on a typical service, when we have a licensee coming on and they're going to offer, say, GLP-1, our cost of service, for example, is $200. That licensee is going to up that to a selling price, and let's, for the purposes of example, say $300. So VSDHOne and our medical platform is obviously the platform providing the service. It transacts the full $300, will pay out the $100 to the licensee, and then there's left a 20 to 30% margin. It's a little bit specific to the treatment, but 20 to 30% margin on the 200, which is, for the sake of figures, $60 roughly. Those margins increase depending on volume, obviously, because of the pharmaceutical structure, and that's pretty much it. So there's a standing 10% for VST. They're a partner back in the original founding days, and but Hydreight Technologies owns 100% of the IP.
Perfect. Thank you, Shane.
If that answered the question.
I was going to add, Shane, and I don't know if this is pertinent, but if you are a customer coming to the forward-facing side of the platform and you make your account and you do your service request and you don't hit any of our flags to be disqualified, right? You pass through to the see the doctor. You choose when you see the doctor too. So it's not like we're forcing them immediately into consult. And if they want one, they choose their time, they show up, the doctor shows up, there's text reminders, like all of that tech is already built so that your client shows up. As a business owner, you get a notification that somebody booked a service, that somebody booked a consult, that somebody completed a consult, that your order is going out. And that as a business owner is like, wow. So you can literally in real time see this happening without being logged into your portal.
Absolutely, and that's the beauty of it. Remember, we're partnering, these license holders are partnering with a medical company so that they don't have to become legal experts or the complexity of the 50 states. That is in actual fact the biggest moat. Then you get down to the granular level of the services themselves, the policies, procedures, the differences between states, even on the service itself. And again, it's actually beneficial for both sides, for them to focus on their brand, them to focus on marketing, and we're the medical company. And that's how it works. It's a full white label experience on their side, on the patient side, and then obviously the medical company is the one seeing the patient, and that goes to something that gets overlooked also, which is patient data. VSDH1 / Hydreight Technologies and its PCs are the owners of the medical data because we're the ones seeing the patient. So yeah, good point, Lindsey, and just wanted to clear that up.
Thank you. I think we have time for a few more questions here. So let's see, we got one. Are you seeing the orders from existing onboarded clients picking up? There's a few on this one for current existing onboarded clients.
Yep. So we're ahead of our goals from the amount of licenses live. As I kind of mentioned earlier, we're up to 240 now. We've been focusing on expediting that. And we have seen the services ramping up in accordance with our goals, maybe a little ahead actually. And we're looking to obviously have a huge focus on that and supporting all of our license holders, getting new license holders and supporting that avenue, but really supporting it also with M&A and on our accelerator program, just so we have, the maximum reach. Because again, without sounding redundant, we are first movers and the only platform of its kind to take advantage of this massive shift in healthcare and the industry. And we're being very aggressive this year on all areas.
Thank you. And I think last question, is there a plan to integrate teledentistry into the VSDHOne platform?
Haven't thought of the dentistry side of things yet, no.
We try to stay focused on what we have because we feel the existing opportunity is big enough and our position is very unique that we don't want to go thin by just having different verticals without mastering one. And our focus is going to be on this one. Our goal, from number of the orders, number of the licenses, is set. We're trying to work based on that and going backwards for the entire 2025. And with the organic M&A and accelerator to focus on that one. And I think that's where we're at. I know Abby said the last question, there are a few questions regarding our financials and Q4 and year end. Again, unfortunately, like based on the policy for the public companies, we only can disclose after filing. We're gonna file our audited financial for year end, and again, we set our goal at the beginning of the year, and we're happy with the results. We're going to and again, we're gonna continue having the same percentage of the growth for 2025 as our goal to do it on the existing business as well. So just wanted to add that because we saw a bunch of questions around the financial and profits and all that, which we have to wait for financial to be filed first for the Q4.
Thank you. If there are any additional questions, please don't hesitate to send them to ir@hydreight.com, and we can definitely assist you there and address them, because I know we are just coming to the end here of our webinar. But we did want to thank everyone for joining and some great questions here. So thank you so much for joining our panelists, our team. Thank you all for taking time out of your day to join us here as well. And thank you to all of our investors, current shareholders or new, or ones that are maybe thinking about coming into Hydreight. We hope we gave you guys some valuable information too. And we look forward to our next webinar, as well as, again, send us any emails if you do have any additional questions that we weren't able to get to. Thanks so much, everyone, for joining. We'll be sending out the recording too, so no worries if you had to drop.
Thanks, everyone.
Have a good one.
Thank you.
Bye now.